I fear part 2 of season 3 has eaten. I am officially a Pollen stan. See, before, I was just looking out to see what would happen for Pollen. It has finally eaten. I'm officially a Pollen stan. I will stamp it in my bio. I will fight for their rights. Hey guys, it is your girl Deborah, student, singer, songwriter, and everything else in between. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Bridgerton that just dropped this morning. And guys, I have thoughts. Now, naturally, I'm going to be making more in-depth videos concerning other characters a little bit later on. So you guys will be getting more of me, also probably in the same outfit the whole entire day. But that's besides the point. So I was kind of scared. I feel like us as a collective of people were really scared after part 1. And I really think it was such a big mistake for Netflix to just drop part 1 like that. Because I was scared, I'm not gonna lie to you. Even in real life, me and my friends were worried as to how everything was going to come out, or how everything was going to work. But I can fully say with my chest, I really, really loved how the season wrapped up. Episode 1, first of all, I was not expecting it to be so sexual. I was not expecting the steaminess. I was not expecting the hello? I said, huh? Wait a damn minute. The whole time while I was watching the episode, I was just like, oh, is this happening? Like, this has to be another dream. It's happening. It's happening. And I loved it. I thought it was so tastefully done. I thought it was well done. I thought Nicola looked absolutely stunning, bestie. The lighting was great. The angles were great. Everything was eating. I loved that little like delicate, intimate moment between them, because I know in the books they also were intimate before they got married. So I was wondering how they're going to take that as well in the show, but it was really good. I was surprised at how long it was. Like, I think it took like a good 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, for their scene. And what have we been asking for? More time with them. More time with them. And we got what we wanted. I hate how it only took episode 5 for us to get what we wanted, but we got what we wanted because I was punching the air previously, okay? So I'm happy that they had like a little 20 minutes to themselves, period. Right off the bat, one of the other things I loved that they really addressed is not only just building Colin and Penelope's like relationship throughout this whole entire season, but there were some key moments that I wanted to talk about. First of all, Penelope announcing that she is getting married via Lady Whistledown is such a Penelope thing to do. And I actually really liked that. And so when she announces it in Whistledown, her mother, Miss Portia comes out and she's like, she starts trying to berate Penelope again. And honest to God, I was really about to punch her. But then Bridgerton surprised me. The biggest moment where I started really, really pining for Pollen, like when I really started going hard for Pollen, is when he defended her in front of her mother. Period. That's some shit I want to see. That is what I care about. When he came and he defended her in front of the mother, because I think people didn't realize like what Penelope was going through in her home the whole entire time at the hands of her mother and also her sisters, that like she was just being ignored and undervalued. And the fact that he stood up for her, I was like, yes, this is what we want. Also, not to mention, and I will talk about this deeper in like another video, there's a lot, especially like in their more intimate scenes, there's a lot of positive affirmation. Like there's a lot of positive reinforcement from Colin towards Penelope, telling her that she's beautiful, telling her not only that she's attractive, but also how much he loves her, which is exactly what I said in my previous video, is that we haven't been hearing that much. We know how Penelope loves him, okay? But how is it being reciprocated? Is it being reciprocated enough? And in the first 4 episodes, it was kind of lacking, but I will tell y'all, they ate it. Plate has been cleaned. I really loved the positive words affirmation, even like as a partner should, of course, like when you're intimate, of course, you should positively reaffirm your partner, but also that she was receiving it constantly, that he was praising her. That is what we wanted to see. That is what we wanted for Penelope, because Penelope already thought that Colin was a great guy, but seeing it like the other way around as well was just so refreshing. Do I dislike the fact that it took a man having to come into their household for Portia to finally change her ways? Yes, but you know what? A spade's a spade. You can only take so much, and you know, at least it got better. Let's talk about the fact that the queen this time around was the one to try and find Lady Whistledown instead of Lady Danbury. And I do think it's an interesting change. Like I said, I would have loved more Lady Danbury to be involved with Penelope, but I guess they were trying to substitute her with Portia, so that does make more sense to have a more motherly bond. And we do find out more about Portia and her personal life and her personal relationship. So I'm glad that they did that. But having the queen trying to find Lady Whistledown does kind of make sense because she's been trying to find her for the longest time. And it would be kind of odd now to have Lady Danbury try and find Lady Whistledown, even though we know that that has been the queen's thing. So I actually don't hate that change. I think it's quite useful. And I love the fact that they showed the consequences of what being Lady Whistledown is, okay? But I always thought like there has to be some repercussions, right? And let me tell you, when Cressida stepped up, I knew she was gonna do it in the books, but I didn't know if Netflix was gonna continue with that storyline. But when she stepped up and she said, "I'm Lady Whistledown," I said, girl, it was perfect. Cressida this season was the perfect storm. And I remember I told you guys in my previous like videos that something has been lacking in this season. Cressida needed to fulfill it because she brought chaos. Girly Pop brought chaos like there was no tomorrow, and I lived every single moment for it. And there's so much more to talk about Cressida and Eloise in a deeper video, but I do want to say that first of all, I loved how I was first worried that they were going to do this thing where they try and make Cressida not a villain. Like they'll try and make her be like, oh, but she has this going on in her family and therefore she can't be a villain and she'll have a redemption arc. I loved how they gave her a little bit of a redemption arc and then they still made her, they still left her as a villain as she deserved, because Cressida was still horrible to Penelope. I do love the fact that she can be human about it and that we can have some sympathy for her, but I love the fact that she stayed a villain. I wanted a villain in this story. I didn't want like this like little like, oh, let's all be besties situation, because no, Girly Pop bullied Penelope all of her life. I just loved that they did that. I love that they stuck with that. They did make her more human, especially with her trying to, like, her father being a horrible person and trying to marry her off to a man that's literally like 3 times her age. And when he described what he was going to put her through, I said, girl, I don't blame you. I don't blame her, but I also recognize that she's a villain, and I love how the show has done that. Now, more on Portia, because this is the order of my notes. I will say I do find it interesting about this arc that she has, and also sometimes when she was clearly trying to show more support to Penelope, it did feel a little bit uncomfortable because it just was so unnatural for her to do. Like at a certain point, she'd be like, "Oh, Penelope," and I was just like, "Ma'am," but you know what? An effort's an effort, and you rarely see that on television. So I'll give her credit where credit is due. She finally did step up. I do love the fact that they roped in the sisters, because it does make sense as to like one of the sisters would be jealous as to receiving more attention, and the fact that they showed this through Prudence was also a very nice touch, because like it wouldn't make sense if none of the other sisters like batted an eye or something. So I'm glad that they touched on that fact, and I thought that was also really well done. I will talk more about Colin and Penelope in a separate video because I want to analyze them really well, but there was a specific line that sort of really changed my mind about him, is that when he was talking to Penelope and he asked her after they had been together, right? And he was like, "Oh, do you not return my affections? I do not blame you if you don't return my affections," meaning that he had been feeling insecure this whole entire time about whether Penelope wanted to stay with him. That's what I wanted. That is what I wanted. That is what I wanted. That is what we all wanted. We all wanted to see him a little bit insecure, and the fact that he was just constantly avidly trying to prove himself to her or find himself being worthy of being her lover is exactly what we wanted. Now I can fully get behind the fact that Colin might not be as forthcoming all the time with his affections, but he on the inside is truly dealing with it, and he's truly like thinking, oh, how can I impress this person? How can I be the best for this person? Because at the first 4 episodes, we were not hearing that. I was not feeling that. I wasn't getting that vibe at all. But now finally it's happening, and I was just like, oh, perfect. I also really liked the fact that they also had realistic conflicts, and one thing that they did touch on was his jealousy, because that was also prevalent in the books, right? The fact that he was jealous about the fact that, you know, Penelope is now a published author, and the fact that they touched on that and they used Cressida to touch on that was spectacular. I liked that they didn't skip that, because it would make sense. This guy wants to be a writer, and now he's seeing the woman that he loves be a writer, and he, even though he is a man with more privilege in their society, and I love how Cressida called him out on that, he does have more privilege in their society, and despite not having all these obstacles as women do, you know, he still hasn't published his work, yet here's a woman who's had all these obstacles put against her, and she's managed to do it nonetheless. That's enviable. Book Colin told Penelope to stop writing the Lady Whistledown papers, but that was also out of jealousy that he made her stop. But I love how that was done differently here, and it's not making Colin the bad guy, but it's such a difficult situation that everyone has their moments and everyone is internally flawed, and now I can fully get behind it. One of the best moments that I think is not really being talked about as much is how the fact that Penelope Penelope and her money, because I was always wondering how much she made from Whistledown, and I know in the books it was a considerable amount of money, but the fact that they were able to tie Lady Featherington's brother-in-law's like scamming activities alongside her scamming activities with Penelope's fortune and how it comes together is amazing. I love that she could finally confess and be like, listen, like, I have money saved up in the bank. And then her mom was like, all this time? It was so good. One thing that I also really loved while they were having a discussion about her being Lady Whistledown is not only did she finally realize that Penelope, she sees herself a lot in Penelope, and Penelope sees her mother a lot in her, but also how brilliant that it was that she was able to do that, and how they were able to have such a discussion about, you know, her life and what her marriage was like, and she wanted security and even her husband couldn't provide her that. I liked moments like that. I really did, and it showed a more human side to her, because before I wanted Portia in the trash, and Portia in the books was also trash. So I'm glad that there is a humanization of her, so she's not like this one and done character. Also, I'm gonna make another video about this. I'm glad Eloise and Penelope are back to being friends, period. I love to see it. I will probably make a conclusion video about that as well, but like, because I need to talk more about it, otherwise this review would be like 40 minutes long. But I loved to see their friendship back together. Loved it. Want more of it. I knew their friendship was going to come back together, but in a different way. And I'm glad they never did the most like pretended like everything was normal between them. I like the fact that they actually were able to recognize each other's personalities, as how, for example, Eloise was able to say like, whoever wrote Lady Whistledown is very clever. The lines that Penelope has, that's her friend. You know, that's something her friend would say. Never Cressida Cowper, for example. I love how they were able to finally focus on Penelope's quips and Penelope's personalities and the things she would say and how brilliant and intelligent she is. That is what I wanted. Some notable side moments: Francesca and Sterling, amazing. I have no notes. Benedict this season was also, I had overheard that there was going to be a queer storyline. If my theory is correct, I hope it's him next season, because the last time that we saw a breakup in the final episode of a season, that person was probably going to have their storyline the next season. It happened with Anthony in season 1, and in season 2 his storyline happened. In season 2's ending, we didn't have a breakup, but we had Penelope's big moment where Colin said that he would never marry Penelope Featherington, and look where he is now. And then it ended up being Penelope's season, so I'm thinking that it's probably going to be Benedict's season as well. And I'm not really surprised by his storyline. Like, I loved that for him, I guess. I like there was nothing to note there. I was just wondering how they were going to end the relationship with the widow, because I know that he has a completely different love interest in his own time. But I liked how it was tastefully done. I will say I don't really have too much commentary on that. I was just happy that Benedict was also just able to realize that he has been feeling aimless, and, you know, that he's not going to the art school anymore, even though he's an amazing artist. And the fact that he was able to open up about that with the rest of the guys, like there were more moments between the men where they had conversations with one another, is something I also really liked. So I loved seeing that, and that was great. Of course, another subplot that I also really liked was Violet Bridgerton and Lady Danbury's brother, and I always wanted to know what the beef was between them. I liked how they gave it a little bit of time, but not too much of time. You know, I really would have liked to see what happened in Lady Danbury's life. I really feel like she deserves a spin-off. And but I do love Lady Violet Bridgerton's and, you know, Lady D's brother together. And I loved the fact that she finally was able to confess to Violet about how, you know, she had an affair with her father, and the fact that Violet knew and still treated her like such a great person is one of the reasons I actually do like Violet Bridgerton. And she has her moments, don't get me wrong, there's some moments where I'm just like, girl, please. But you know what, I really respect her throughout all of this. I mean, she's just been a really supportive and understanding mom for the most part. So I just love this for Violet. And I loved the fact that they also mentioned that Lady D's brother is able to get to Lady Violet Bridgerton because Anthony's away. I thought that was really funny because I was also wondering how they would handle that. But Violet Bridgerton is a grown woman. She gave birth to you and she can do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, however she wants. And that's on that period. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Tell me how you guys are feeling down below. I will be coming with more videos very, very soon. But I just want to always get the discussion going on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I've been getting a lot of requests to put more of my face in my videos, and I will be trying to do that. Sometimes it's just because of like speed, or I was like, you know, busy with school and stuff, so I wasn't able to like fully be on camera all the time. But I have listened, I have heeded the words, and I will be showing more of my face on camera for sure. It's also more personable like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be coming out with more content soon. It is now summer, the exams are over, so I'm just willing to just like live it up, period. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.